It was 10 minutes before the start of my father's funeral. Rose, where are you? Dad's funeral is about to start. Sorry, I think I'll pass. Too much hassle. What? What are you saying? It's our own father's funeral. How can you say it's too much hassle? My sister, who had been misbehaving since we were children, even canceled attending our father's funeral. No matter how many times I called, she wouldn't respond. In addition to her outrageous behavior, she had the audacity to demand her share of our father's inheritance. I had overlooked various things up until now, but this time I couldn't forgive her. Unbelievable. This is too cruel. Just after our father passed away, she demanded her inheritance without a moment's delay. I absolutely cannot let things go her way. At that moment, writhing in frustration towards my sister, I was shocked by a truth revealed by our mother. My name is Emily. In my family home, there are my father, mother, and my older sister Rose, who is 2 years older than me. Rose has always been troublesome, even dropping out of high school. She often caused problems, forcing our parents to apologize to the school. After dropping out, she lived almost like a social withdrawal. She stayed at home, mooching off our parents, causing endless trouble. And for good reason. My father was a wealthy man, owning multiple stocks and real estate. His estimated assets were around $3,500,000. Perhaps Rose became such a twisted person because she was raised without any hardships. Both father and mother often lamented that they had spoiled Rose too much. Her arrogant attitude was astonishing even to me, her sister. When I was still a university student living at home, Rose would demand money from our mother almost daily. "Hey, Mom, I'm going out with friends, give me some money." "Rose, didn't I give you money just the other day? Besides, your father only gives me money for living expenses, so..." "Huh? Don't lie to me. Dad has money, there's no way that's true." "It's true. So, Rose, if you need money, please get a job or something." "Shut up. Why should I work when my parents are rich?" "Ridiculous. Just give it to me now." Rose forcefully took the wallet from our mother's purse and snatched the money. She often raised her hand against our mother when she tried to take it back. Each time, I would yell at my sister, "Rose, what are you doing? Ugh, you're always in the way. Can you just not be in my sight? What? Return the money to Mom right now. It's unforgivable to raise your hand against your own parents." Ugh, so annoying. Playing the good girl, huh? I get it. You're just acting nice to get more inheritance later. What are you talking about? That doesn't matter at all. I know everything. You're just playing the hypocrite for the future inheritance. Rose threw the wallet at me. She laughed through her nose and left as the wallet hit my head. My mother, crying, said to me, "I'm really sorry. It wasn't our mother's fault at all." However, at the time, I was just a university student and could only talk back to my sister. My father, who ran a real estate business, was seldom home. I had to protect my mother, but even that was something I couldn't do satisfactorily. I was frankly fed up with my own powerlessness. The only smart thing about my sister was that she acted like a good girl only in front of our father. She was rough only in front of our mother and me. In front of our father, she would sweetly ask for pocket money. Hey, Dad, lend me some money." Each time, my father would sigh and respond, "Enough of this. You quit high school on your own, so work properly. Then hire me at your place. Real estate companies pay well, right? I can't hire a good-for-nothing like you." Understand? Go work somewhere else for social experience and learn about the harshness of the world. Dad, that's so mean. I'm asking you nicely. Eventually, she always resorted to crying to get her way. Of course, father never lent her money unconditionally due to his strictness with her. Maybe out of spite for not being able to coax our father. She gradually started to pester our mother and me for money. She demanded money from us when our father wasn't around, and if we didn't comply, she would use verbal abuse to coerce us. That was my sister's way. Several years later, Rose announced she was getting married to a guy she was dating and left home abruptly. Thanks to that, peace returned to our home and we regained a tranquil life. I spent 2 happy years until I graduated from university. Afterward, I left home when I got a job and am now 24. I'm living alone while working as an office worker in a major corporation. As I was leaving the office as usual one day, I heard a familiar voice calling, "Emily." Despite a bad feeling, I turned towards the voice, and there was my sister, Rose. Lost for words for a while, she boldly approached me. "Long time no see, Emily. How've you been?" "Rose. Why are you here?" "One of your classmates has a sister who's my friend. I heard about your workplace through her." "Wow, working at such a big company, huh?" Laughing vulgarly as she always did, I feared being seen by my colleagues if she stayed here. I grabbed her hand and moved to a deserted alleyway. Honestly, I didn't want to be involved and wished to get it over with if there was a reason for her visit. I got straight to the point. "Rose, what do you want? Why have you come to see me? Don't look so scary. I just want to borrow some money." "Huh? Again? No way. Besides, didn't you get married? Why not ask your husband?" I divorced him quickly. Then I kept moving between boyfriends' houses. But I broke up with the last guy too. I'm in trouble because I have no money. But why? Come to me. If I go home, Dad will just turn me away, right? So I thought you'd be more reliable. Rose shamelessly demands money from her sister. It's deeply disappointing to think we're related by blood. Of course, I had no intention of lending her money. I firmly declined. "Sorry, but I don't have the luxury to lend money." "Oh, okay. Then I'll stay at your place." "Huh? Stop it. Then lend me the money? If you don't, I'll just follow you home, okay?" That's troubling. If she learns where my house is, she'll definitely squat there. I absolutely want to avoid that. Reluctantly, I decided to lend her money. I withdrew money from an ATM at a convenience store and gave her $350. "Here. Is this enough? Please, stop following me and don't do this anymore." Yeah, I get it. "Oh, give me your contact info." I changed my phone, you know. Why? There's no need to contact each other. Just in case. You never know what might happen, right? What if I can't contact you when I need to return the money? Okay. Despite knowing she has no intention of returning it, I curse my sister in my heart. After getting her way with the money, she leaves the scene cheerfully. Sigh. I'm exhausted. Can she really be older than me? So irresponsible, having such a sister is just embarrassing. Since that day, I've become wary of my surroundings when leaving work. I can't afford to be found by her again. To ensure I'm not taken advantage of again, I pay extra attention. A few days later, while working at the office as usual, my smartphone suddenly rang. I thought to call back during my break, but the call kept coming. Feeling suspicious, I checked the screen and saw it was my mother's name. With a bad feeling, I stepped out of the office to answer the call. Hello? As soon as I answered, my mother let out a cry of anguish. Emily. It's terrible. Your father. Emily, Mom? What happened to Dad? Your father collapsed and he's unconscious. You're kidding, right? Dad? That can't be. Come to the hospital right now. Please, Emily. Mother hung up the phone weakly. I immediately told my boss about the situation and headed to the hospital she mentioned. But by the time I arrived, my father had already passed away. In the hospital room, only my mother's sobbing could be heard. Before I could even grieve, I had to start arranging the wake and funeral. Amidst this, I suddenly remembered exchanging contact information with my sister. Although I didn't like it at the time, it was still about her real parent. So I guess I should let her know. I quickly decided to call my sister. Rose? It's me. My sister answered after a few rings, and I briefly explained the situation. So that's the situation. Make sure you come to the wake and the funeral, okay? Sorry, I can't make it to the wake. Despite our father's passing, my sister responded casually. Well, I'll go to the funeral though. What do you mean by that? He's your father, you know? Can't help it, right? I have a date planned. Huh? A date? That's not something you prioritize over your father's funeral. So noisy. I said I'd go to the funeral, right?
Bye.
Then. Wait. Rose. My call was in vain as she hung up unilaterally. I'm beyond dismayed that she'd prioritize a date over our father's wake. I couldn't bring myself to tell my mother the truth and vaguely conveyed the message. Rose said she's busy and can only come to the funeral. I see. Okay. I silently watched my mother's weak response from behind. On the day of the funeral, I continued to greet attendees with my mother, but my sister Rose was nowhere to be seen. As time passed, it was 10 minutes before the funeral was to start. This was too late, even for her. After telling my mother, I stepped outside the funeral hall to call my sister. Finally, she answered, sounding irritable. Hello? Rose, where are you? Dad's funeral is about to start. Sorry, it's too much of a hassle, so I'm passing. What? What are you saying? It's our own father's funeral, how can you say it's too much hassle? I'm busy with a lot of things. So, take care of it, will you? The call was abruptly ended, and no matter how many times I redialed, my sister did not answer. At that point, my anger towards her exploded. I could forgive past grievances, but not this time. Not attending the funeral of the father who took such care of us. I absolutely cannot forgive this. Struggling to contain my rising anger, I returned to the funeral hall. My sister never showed up for our father's funeral. After the funeral, I told my mother about my feelings at home. Mom, I'm sorry. I couldn't get Rose to come to the end. I did try to persuade her. Why are you saying sorry, Emily? You did nothing wrong. But, she's still our family, and I didn't want her to make a fuss later. Don't worry. Your father knew this would happen. What do you mean? Actually. As my mother slowly began to speak, I listened in disbelief. I had no idea that all this was going on behind the scenes. That's why, Emily, you don't have to worry. She has no recourse now.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me, Mom. It's okay. To properly inform the family of the facts was also your father's last wish. Thus, I continued to uphold my father's legacy alongside my mother. A few days later, sure enough, a call came from my sister. "Hello, Emily? It's me,
Ah,
Rose. What do you need?" "It's about Dad's inheritance. It's about time to talk about my share, right?" "That's why I called. I knew from my mother that my sister would contact me about the inheritance. She might not have come to the wake or the funeral, but she would definitely demand her share of the inheritance." As I remained silent, my sister continued cheerfully. "Hey, are you listening? Anyway, I expect my share of the inheritance to be transferred to me, okay?" "Rose, don't you know?" "Huh? Know what?" "There's no inheritance for you." "What? Wait a minute. What are you talking about?" "If you don't know, it's fine. Explaining is a waste of time. Just know that there's nothing for you. Don't joke around." "Hey, wait. Cutting off my sister's voice, I hung up the phone without hesitation. Afterward, she tried calling several times, but I ignored all of them. She apparently even showed up at our family home. I received a message from my mother and rushed to our family home. As soon as I arrived, my sister, with her face red with anger, started yelling. "Just a minute, Emily. What was that about on the phone? Explain it properly." "There's not much to explain. Like I said earlier, you're not getting any inheritance. That's why." "Explain the reason why." "Just after our father's passing, all my sister can think about is the inheritance. She has no empathy, no human decency. I have no obligation to show her sympathy." Seizing the moment, I laid out the harsh reality to her. "Rose, you didn't come to Dad's funeral, right? That's everything. What does that have to do with anything? Now's not the time for that, right? The family members who come to see me for the last time will each receive $700,000 from the inheritance. The rest will be donated. That was Dad's will." "What? In other words, you have no right to Dad's inheritance because you didn't come to the funeral. You're joking, right? That can't be." Unable to accept reality, my sister's face contorted, showing a forced smile. To her, I continued speaking. "Do you think Dad left such a will as a joke? But I'm Dad's eldest daughter. His firstborn, his beloved child, right? How can you even say that? After all the trouble you've caused and only ever coming to ask for money." My expression must have been as cold as ice. Seeing me, my sister flinched. To her, I mercilessly threw my final words. "After using the family for money all this time, you still haven't learned your lesson. Skipping our important father's funeral to prioritize a date. You must have been playing with men all day, right? Unbelievable. How can you shamelessly think of only claiming the inheritance now? When will you stop embarrassing yourself?" Wait. I get it. I'm so sorry. Let's go back to the inheritance issue. It's too late now. Do you even understand how our parents felt all this time? How much our family has suffered because of you? Your apologies mean nothing to me now. Emily, calm down, okay? Shut up. I have no intention of making up with you. If you understand, then leave this house immediately. Never show your face in front of Mom again." Repeating "I'm sorry," I grabbed my sister's arm and pushed her out. She cried out for a while, but eventually stopped, perhaps finally realizing her mistakes. When I went outside at the right moment, my sister was nowhere to be seen. I don't know what happened to her afterward. Where she is, what she's doing, who she's with, I have no idea. Whether she changed her ways or not, whether she's living the same life as before. Either way, my mother and I have no intention of seeing her again. Unless something drastic happens, she probably won't come looking for us either. I currently live with my mother. Our family home was too big for just Mom. And considering any emergencies, it seemed better to live together. After the inheritance was settled, we sold the family home and Mom moved into my apartment. Mom has suffered a lot because of my sister. Now, I want to make her happy, for Dad's sake too.